Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on Church Love. Tonight we have the wonderful Robersons from California who are going to be talking to us tonight about church love, and we thank them right now. And Bishop and Lady Roberson, go ahead, introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself and everything.
Praise the Lord. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are, everybody. This is Pastor Bishop Roberson, pastor of Cornerstone Apostolic Church of Fairfield in Fairfield, California. We actually just made 9 years here in Fairfield, pastoring here in Fairfield, and I am happily married to my beautiful wife, Veronica. We have been married for 36 years.
Wow.
And we have two beautiful daughters.
Okay. And go ahead, lady. First lady.
Praise the Lord, everybody, and thank you for having us. We're just so excited to be here tonight. Happy New Year to you. I am Lady Veronica Roberson, and I am the wife of the Bishop Leon Roberson here in the city of Fairfield, California. Like he said, not too much more I can say. We have two beautiful daughters and a son-in-law. And I work in the educational field, and like you said, we've been pastoring for 9 years this year, and yeah, that's it.
All right. We thank God for you, and let's go ahead and just get started. And Bishop, if you can kind of kick us off, what was life like before you got married? I know you've been married 36 years, but tell me what was life like before? Were you wandering in the wilderness, or what was going
on? I was somewhat misfocused. I wasn't really. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do growing up. Graduated from high school and started, junior college, but I really wasn't sure in which direction I wanted to go. So I ended up going to college, but then working on the side. And once I started working, the money bug bit me. And I couldn't stay in school because I was busy trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did all kinds of jobs. I mean, I was doing just about everything you can think of, from pulling weeds, doing lawns, working as a laborer, to loading boxes, delivering pizzas, door-to-door salesman, you name it, even selling Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Oh, wow.
Parking cars, valet parking, just trying to find my way, trying to find a way to make some money. And so, but I was always busy, always doing something, never sitting still, working two jobs sometimes, even trying to go to school and working day and night. So I was always, even though I was a little misdirected, I was always busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I found the career that I really fell in love with, at that point, I got more focused. And that's was right about the time where I began to look at my wife. And then the only thing that was on my mind then was how to get myself in a position to get married. I was really focused at that point.
So as soon as you met her, you was like, yes, Lord, I hear you speak.
Well, it wasn't exactly as soon as I met her. It's a story behind that.
Okay.
But we have quite the history.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
And First Lady, what was life like before you got married?
Oh, before I got married. So I was unchurched. I got in church at 17, and I
Mm,
never really thought that much about being married. So you're talking about a high school student. I was pretty focused, and um, yeah, I was pretty focused, going to school, real excited about this new Holy Ghost that I had, making new friends in the church, going to conventions, going to school, just a lot of excitement for me. But I think that I was always pretty focused on what I wanted to do. So finished high school, went
hmm
straight on to junior college, finished, start working with children, working in the church, just being in the church. Uh, so that was my life. It was just fun and hanging out with my girlfriends, and believe it or not, my best friend that's sitting right next to me, we were best friends. Seriously, serious best friends. We just love to hang out together. Like you said, it's a whole story behind that. But life was just fun and exciting, and yeah, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it.
You know, it's interesting that both of you kind of say that because a lot of times people don't know how to enjoy the stage before married and they wait till marriage to try to enjoy it. But it sounds like both of you were enjoying where you were, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, you just were just enjoying life and enjoying being saved.
Yeah,
Right.
we
Right.
were, and we were young too.
Right. Yeah. That's another thing too. I got saved at an early age. Just it was just before I graduated from high school.
Mm,
So I mean, even though I was still busy, kind of misdirected. I had just a lot of fun just having church, going to the fellowship meetings, going to what we called our camp meetings that we had every winter.
hmm
Uh, you know, being in the church, riding the buses to those meetings, going to the different events that the church would have, and so we were, as you said, we were just enjoying our life and our freedom in the Holy Ghost.
Right. Our church had they had a day.
Okay, sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulties, but First Lady, before we had a little technical difficulty, you were talking about how you guys used to go out with the church group and everything.
Right. So our church had a 320-acre ranch. So we hang out at the ranch. Our church had buses. So we travel just all over the place.
Mm,
Um, our church had a daycare center.
wow.
So a lot of the times we would be at the daycare center, just kind of hanging out and talking, um, and just having so much fun. And not to mention his stint of going to school. We went to school together. We took some classes together. We were just friends at the time. We weren't dating or anything like that. Did we mess up in the class?
Yeah, we took a class together, and we talked
We
during
talked so
the
much.
whole time, and I think
You
I think I got a C. I think she barely passed with the D.
no. Oh yeah, probably. Probably. You might be right. You might be right.
And yeah, we really weren't paying attention to what the teacher was talking about because we were just too close to be in the same class together.
Yeah, we were
Hmm.
just we were buds. I
Yeah.
mean, we were just buds. For
Okay.
real, for real.
Well, both of you have referenced this point about how you met. Let's talk about how y'all met. What how did that come about? And we know there's Bishop, you have your story, but First Lady might tell us the truth or somewhere in between. But Bishop, if you could, go ahead and tell us, and then First Lady, we know you're gonna come by and let us know all the details.
Yeah.
Well, when we moved to California, we joined this church. We found this church in Richmond, California, and I had been there since I was a kid, as long as I can remember. And so when I was in high school, I would catch the bus, and my bus would pass by her high school first, and then go on, and then I would get off the bus to my high school. Well, I started seeing her get on the bus, and then the bus would go to her high school, and then she would get off, and then I would continue to ride. So I remember seeing her get on the bus, and I said to myself, this is just, I don't know where this came from, but I said to myself, wow, I'm gonna talk to her. I'm gonna talk to her. And I never did get the courage to say anything to her on the bus, because that was the only place I would see her. But some months went by. I don't know, it was some time that went by. She actually showed up at my church, at the church I went to. And by that time, I don't remember if she may have been talking to somebody. I'm not sure. But by that time, I really had kind of lost interest in trying to talk to her. Maybe my interest was somewhere else. I don't know what was going on. I can't remember exactly what was going on. But she ended up coming back to the church several times. And she ended up actually coming regularly, to where as time went on, she actually got saved at one of the revivals. So by this time, I kind of knew who she was. We both got saved during that revival, and we actually ended up just clicking. Somehow we just clicked. So she actually had a boyfriend that she was talking to.
I did.
I actually was interested in someone else, and I was writing letters and talking to someone else. And we were so close that when she would have a problem or she had some issue, she would actually talk to me about the issues she was having in her relationship. We were teenagers, and we were so close that we got T-shirts that said "best friends."
Oh wow!
And then the subject came up. We were actually trying to figure out how our parents could adopt us as brother, so that we could be brother and sister. And so it was just a real genuine close relationship. Now that I think about it, the guy that she was dating was a guy that I grew up with. I knew him before I met her. And so it really wasn't weird that, we were best friends, but she was dating this guy that I knew, and we were friends as well. And so all three of us were just friends. But she was dating this guy that I grew up with. He didn't have a problem with it because he knew my character. He knew that I wasn't,
That's good.
Trying to get in on his relationship or anything like that. He just knew that we were just friends. When I had issues with later on, when I was having an issue with the girl that I was talking to,
That's another story.
I turned to her. She actually was comforting me and was telling me, "Don't worry about it. The Lord is going to bless you with somebody." And so she can give her.
That's pretty accurate.
Okay.
It was really a God thing because, like I said during the introduction, I was in church, so I didn't know him. I didn't know what church he went to. I never even really noticed him. I never really even noticed him on the bus. But there was a guy that went to his church, and the guy, well, he had a name. I won't tell you what.
Nameless.
Nameless. But he was known for like telling a bunch of untruths. Let's put it that way. And so I don't know if, I don't think you told him, but
I never talked to
he
him
never talked to my husband about me. But that boy told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, this guy want to talk to you, Leon." And he gave me Leon's phone number. And so I did try to call Leon. And because I was unchurched, I didn't know. They was at church Monday, Tuesday. Every time I tried to call him, nobody was ever at home. Nobody was ever home. So that was back in the day. And so I never talked to him at all. And like he said, I just ended up, they were having a revival at the church, and this lady that my sister used to go to daycare, this lady told my sister they're having a revival. I'm like, I don't care about a revival, but I ended up going to the revival, and I ended up getting saved, and just happened to be in the same church that he was in. And then in regards to the girl, just cutting it short, that he was talking to, I'll say her name on national Facebook.
So she broke his heart.
No, her name was Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And hi, Victoria, if you're watching this. Just playing. But her name was Victoria. And because we were so close in our fellowship circle, everybody knew us to be together. We always would be together. And so some girl told Leon was trying to talk to Victoria Bishop. I'm just going to call him Leon because that's what he was when we were dating. Okay. So he was talking to Victoria, and this other person kind of liked him too, this other lady. And so she told Victoria, she said, "If I were you, I wouldn't talk to him because he's a playboy. He talks to Sister Veronica. He with her all the time. He talked to her." And so Victoria believed that, and she broke it off with him. Now, because she believed that he was a playboy and that he was, playing her with me, but he wasn't. And that girl who told Victoria that felt guilty, so she came back and told Leon. She apologized to Leon. "I'm sorry that I went to Victoria and said that," but she liked him herself, so she thought he was going to try to talk to her. Meanwhile, at this point, I didn't really realize it, but it was like, I actually like Leon. How about that? And so
how you like me now?
I was like, I actually like him, and I really didn't realize it until almost he told me, "I can't talk to you anymore because I'm talking to Victoria, and I don't want her to think anything. I don't want her to think that, I'm talking to you." So I was kind of heated by that. But then once she broke it off with him, and he was sad. And I remember we were on the church bus leaving, and he was like, "Well, yeah, she broke up. He's just confiding in me." And I'm thinking, I said to myself, "Yep, God have somebody better for you." And I was thinking it's me. I was like, God got somebody way better I said, God got somebody way better than her for you. Don't worry about it.
It's
and I thought
sometimes as I'm listening to your testimonies and how you guys met and everything, I can't help but think about a lot of times when we're in situations, we don't see the God moving the chess pieces to our advantage until we look back.
Right.
And that's what I hear, is that God was moving y'all in place. Because to be married 36 years, that's simply unheard of. And that is awesome in itself. And I kind of want to keep going. I got another deep question for y'all. Who was more outspoken in the beginning, and has that changed?
Yeah, so that would have been me. Because it was again, the relationship was purely a friendship thing. But then after the breakup with Victoria, I began to realize, there's something deep, there's something really deep that's happening with this girl that I'm calling my friend. And I mean, we were just so close, and we were just able to confide everything with each other. My whole paradigm began to change. And then I began to realize, wow, I think I'm in love with this girl. And so I was trying to figure out how to change this relationship around, not knowing that she was kind of on the same page in her mind. And so I just had to come out with it. And so one day I was talking to her, and I said, hey, how about we be just a little bit more than friends? And so I was the one who brought it up, the first one to just come on out with it.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say he was more outspoken and I was more straightforward. And I didn't say yes right away to us getting together because I valued our friendship. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to, I know I do. I have feelings, but I don't want to mess this up because this is, it's great. I love our friendship. We had a lot of other people that saw it way before us.
Right.
There was people in our church, but you know how sometimes you think in church people just trying to push it. But there were so many people that saw it, before us. And of course, I realized I love this guy too, but I don't want to ruin our friendship. And in fact, when he finally went to our pastor to tell our pastor that he was interested, our pastor said, "What in the world took you so long?" And then we had other people. Remember LJ? They were like, "You guys don't know who you are," because we would do everything. They're like, "You guys y'all really don't know who y'all are," and it's just like,
yeah.
And lastly, I'll say this too. When we got saved, there was a group of us. How many was it? About 20 something?
30 something. The whole group that got saved, yeah, it was in the 30s.
Yeah, it was in the 30s or something like that.
About 34.
But the revival was hot. It was popping. And the Lord gave me a dream that all those souls were going to be gone. And it was only me and my husband left out of that whole group. That was the dream that I had. Was it that we were together too? Well, I just know that we were going to be the only ones. When I went to one of the seasoned saints and told them my dream, they said, "That's the devil." And it did not come to pass right away, but it was years, like over the span of years, it ended up just like that.
Wow.
We were the last two, and we ended up being married. But he was definitely the more outspoken one, and I was just straightforward kind of to the point.
Now, who's outspoken now?
Can you tell? No, I think we complement each other. I think we both are. It just depends on the setting, the setting that we're in.
I would agree with that. It depends on the situation.
The thing that you guys do is you work well and you mesh together. You can see that friendship that's there that both of you have, and it just looks like there's nothing that can even take you guys apart because you established that friendship so much. The next question I have is kind of is how many kids did you guys want in the beginning?
I wanted like 4. I wanted 4. I thought that would be a nice number to have.
First Lady, how about you?
Actually, surprisingly, I wanted 5. I wanted 5 sons, and I got 2 daughters. Better than 5 sons.
Yeah, but I wanted 4, but the first delivery was like 22 hours, a 22-hour delivery. I'd never witnessed anybody in such pain as I saw her. She was she was so tired. She would, scream and yell and moan, and immediately after that contraction was over, she would immediately fall into a deep sleep, and it went on like that, back and forth. Was this the first one or the second where
that was the second one?
And so that was pretty hard to watch her go through that. The second time, the same thing. It was about 19 hours. And I literally almost passed out. Got up to go in there with the nurse, and she saw I was in trouble. And she said, "You okay?" She gave me some water. After that, I was like, I can't take it no more. I'm good with 2.
Now listen to that. He can't take it no more. Right.
He can't take it no more. Like, he wasn't delivering.
Right. Yeah, it was rough on me.
Doc, I understand. Yeah. That is good. What say you, First Lady?
What was that? How many kids did I want?
You wanted 5.
Yeah, I wanted 5. Yeah, I wanted 5. And after the 2, we were a young couple. We had been married only almost probably like 2 years. Almost 2 years. 2 kids, young. And I don't want to say unfortunately, but we had to do it, ourselves. We did have our parents there kind of to help us out a little bit, but we didn't really want to rely on our parents, that much. So it was expensive and a lot of work. And I knew that I wanted to spend a lot of time with my kids and give them the attention and the resources that they needed. And I just started feeling like, well, if I had more than that, I probably wouldn't be able to give them the resources, or we might not be able to afford it, or that kind of thing. So I was, very happy with the 2.
Okay. That's good. So growing up, I know you guys just talked about it a little bit, but who was your pastor when you guys both were growing up?
Pastor Vernon Robinson. And he he was actually part of the PAW. They were in the PAW years ago. And when they left there, they started their own ministry, and they were independent. And so by the time we got there, they had actually from when he started, he had been independent for many years. He was a part of a small fellowship circle, and then he stayed independent. But Vernon V. Robinson was our bishop, and then when we left there, we were with Pastor Samuel Boyd for a little while, and we were also under David Alvarez in the UPCI.
Okay. So you guys are kind of in PAW, UPCI, and now with AFFI. And
we were also with the AAC.
Yeah, we were with the AAFCs too. Under with Pastor Boyd, he was under with the Apostolic Assemblies of Christ, the AAC. So we both basically were under Bishop Vernon V. Robinson. That was my first pastor, my first church experience. The V stands for very strict. No, I'm just joking. Not really. Not really.
That's about the size of it.
Very strict.
Very strict.
But so we were under him, and I thank God for that ministry. It was there that we got our foundation. And you know, he was just so authentic, and the church family was just so family oriented. And I believe that that's what we took from that ministry. Just, you know, the foundational, the truths. He was a great teacher. He was a great role model as far as a pastor, as far as a couple, as far as using resources wisely. He was a businessman. He was just an all-around great guy. So we got our foundational teaching from there. And so we were just thankful for being under that ministry. And so when we got married too, that was kind of nice, or not kind of nice, really nice, because we came under the same teaching. So there wasn't really any variations in how we, you know, even thought about money. And if I did think a little different, I was familiar with, you know, how you were brought up with that. So we got the foundational teaching from there. And then we did go on to the UPC under David Alvarez, another great ministry. We sat under his ministry for, you know, years. We had the foundation from Brother Alvarez. We took away the organizational skills that we use right now today in our ministry, you know. And Brother Alvarez ministry was a multicultural ministry. And who would have known, you know, our ministry is multicultural. So from him, we took away, like, you know, how to deal with people, the organization and that kind of thing. And we did sit under Pastor Boyd, Samuel Boyd, another great ministry and another good opportunity. It was there that my husband accepted the call to preach, and we were able to take some of that and put it to practical use. It was, you know, the hands-on part. Like, we helped build the church. We went out, we did outreach using some of those same principles that we used at Pastor Boyd's church. We're using it now in our ministry. So all three moves have benefited us for a time such as this.
Good.
And so we are very thankful for that.
So, and moving right along, next question is, what do you remember most about growing up in the church? And I know you've had different pastors, but under their leadership, what do you remember most that impacted you the most through the dating process, growing up. If you can kind of talk about that, the dating process and growing up through those ministries and how that impacted you.
For me, as far as the dating process, it gave me the thing I remember the most or impacted me the most is some of the principles of dating. And she mentioned that the V stands for strict, very strict. A lot of the principles that we were taught actually was designed to keep us saved, even though we didn't see it at the time. When we look at some of the dating practices of today and compare them to some of the things that we sat under, you can see the difference. We had chaperones, and a lot of youth that come up today, they don't like chaperones, but chaperones were there to help keep you straight. They were there for a reason, because the flesh is the flesh, and we had rules in place that we didn't always agree with, but in the end, I'm glad that we had those rules, because it gave us a sense of responsibility, and how to respect each other, how to wait until marriage. And so, of course, we wanted to do things our own way, but we really was taught biblical principles. And that teaching affected us not only in dating, but in our work life, in our relationships. I think I got part of my work ethic I got from my pastor. Seeing that he was a man, he was a businessman. He was he did everything from sewing, from tailoring clothes to drawing blueprints for buildings.
Wow.
Building houses.
Building houses, putting up electrical lines. And so he was like a role model, and in every sense. He went back to school at a later in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Went back and got his degree, got an honorary degree on top of that. And so growing up in that church taught us a lot of life skills that is still benefiting us today.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on it, because Elder Bishop Robinson, his motto was, you can do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed that. Like he said, he built houses, he traveled the world. They did so much, they showed us so much that we could do. We had a role model to look up, and some things to aspire
Mm-hmm.
to be in that ministry. And I would say in that ministry as well, just the love, not from necessarily, the pastor was loving, but just the congregants, and the families. So that's pretty much what I took away. I'll just always remember the love that the congregants had for each other.
Mm-hmm.
The genuine, authentic, it wasn't fake. And sometimes when I would tell people my story, or even my unsaved family, they'd be like, girl, them people not like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, really true. It was, almost really one of the first times that I felt like that authentic love. And then again, when I go think about Promised Land, the thing that I took away from Promised Land is that because we were in a very strict church, it was like, a heaven or hell, like black and white, straight, heaven or hell. You going to hell, and that kind of thing. And that is true. Promised Land was a bit more liberal in the sense of the way Brother Alvarez dealt with people. When I went to his church, it was the first time that I'd ever seen people come in the church, get saved, and watch them over a period of time transform, their lives being, transformed, right?
Mhm.
Because in the church where we came out of, Bishop Robinson, you got the Holy Ghost today and tomorrow,
Hmm.
everything was in, every your sleeves, your stockings, everything. When I went over to Brother Alvarez, I saw a process. I saw people get the Holy Ghost, but they weren't necessarily, in the stand, like dressing in standard code, the code of standard, but they really loved the Lord. They kind of took their time. You just saw God work on them. And so I think that changed my whole thought process as far as like people, getting saved or how God deals with people, because he deals with people differently.
Mhm.
Mm. And it's interesting listening to you talk, and I've listened to other couples talk. One of the key things that goes through all of them is as they look back, they talk about the love of that the leadership had for them and showing them through that dating process. And I can hear it come out with you guys. Would you say that'd be an accurate comment?
I'm sorry.
Would you say that would be accurate? Is that love?
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were. Again, our pastor was one that really wanted everybody to know how much in love he was with his wife, and he would constantly remind the congregation that he only had one wife. Excuse me. And in public, the name, when he would call his wife, he would call her my wife. Hello, my wife. That was, he wanted everybody to know that that was his wife. And so seeing that, of course, being young and impressionable, you wanted your marriage to be, like that as well. And, he didn't believe in, of course, we all don't believe in divorce. We know that it does happen, but he really harped and preached and taught us that, once you get married, that's your partner for life. And so that's when we went into it, that's what we were expecting to accomplish.
Right. And our assistant pastor,
Same
the
thing.
Hunters, were the same thing. We had very great role models of couples in our church, not just our assistant pastor, a lot of the congregants as well. And it wasn't a show. Like him and his wife, they were like best friends. If he was out building, she was taking nails out of the wood. If he was, because they would go to the ranch. If he was at the ranch feeding the animals, she was at the ranch cooking him a lunch. They were just always together, like peanut butter and jelly, like ice cream and cake,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Leon and Veronica.
So, and real quick, what was marriage like in the beginning?
Woo.
Woo-hoo.
It was
amazing.
exciting. You got to think about, we were so, the rules were so strict that we couldn't even.
Remember the V?
we couldn't even sit in the front. Like if we were in a car, one of us would have to sit in the front seat and the other would have to sit in the back seat. Even with the chaperones in the car with us. If we were on the phone, we would only talk 15 minutes.
You should not tell them that.
But we found ways around that, of course. And one one rainy day, I was visiting her job, and it was raining. And I'll tell this one story here. We laugh about this now. But when she got off work, it was late and it was raining. Um, I was there visiting. I had a car. She didn't. And normally she would catch the bus and go home. Well, the rules were, in order to ride in the car together, if you're dating, you need to have a chaperone. Well, we didn't have a chaperone. I didn't want her to catch the bus in the rain. So we were trying to figure out a way around this. So I can't remember it might have been me, came up with the idea, say, hey, why don't you just hop in the trunk of the car?
True story.
And I'll drive you home. I'll pull up in the alley and you can hop out. And yes, she did. We did it. She got in the trunk. I closed her up in the trunk so nobody would see that we were together without a chaperone. Drove her home, pulled up in the alley, and let her get out the trunk. Basically, we didn't want to disobey the rules because we wanted to be saved. But we were trying to figure out a way to get her home without having her walk in the rain. So that's the kind of thing that we were dealing with. So needless to say, when we got married, oh boy, we was just so excited just to be together, without having anybody with us or without being afraid to be seen together in public.
Right. Just to ride away in the front seat after we got married, from the reception, I could get in the front seat.
So it was a very, very exciting time for us.
Very exciting. Very exciting. New beginnings. We hadn't lived out on our own.
Right.
You had lived out like a couple months
Just
before
you got.
He got secured the place a couple months before we got married. So it was just new beginnings. Able to do whatever we want to do.
Right.
Go wherever we want to go. No. Yeah.
So, what were some of the challenges y'all faced in the beginning of your marital relationship?
Challenges? What challenges? I'm just playing.
Well, I think one of the first ones was she wanted to have kids right away, and I wanted to wait. And so that was a point of contention. And she was, for some reason, fearful that she couldn't have kids or whatever. And she just wanted to have kids right away. And I was like, no, let's wait. And I think we ended up, we was married for 1 year. And then she conceived of our first child. And the second one, she wanted to wait and I didn't.
Right.
So we kind of changed positions for some reason. I think one of the things that we had some financial problems. And again, like many young people go through financial issues. At that time, I was the spender and she was the saver. And so I was a bit, I didn't mind taking risk. And she was risk averse.
Mm.
Um, and so, we ended up actually losing a lot of money because of my willingness to be risky. Um, did some unwise things. So yeah, that caused some contention, caused some issues. But then after a while, um, I guess it was
Years.
maturity set in, and then I began to really pay closer attention to the things that I had been taught, and then decided to, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it the Bible way. Let's do things the right way, and things begin to turn around for us.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good.
I agree with that.
You agree with that? Well, then
I
my next question would be, who's more romantic?
Well, I would say that would be me.
It's true. It's
You
true.
know, the more couples I talk to, the more I'm realizing in most of the couples, the men are more romantic.
Yeah, it's true.
Now that is not the that is not the image that most people have, though.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I'm
it's true.
noticing it in almost all the couples that I talk to, most of the time, not all the time, not every single time, but a lot of times the men are more romantic than the women.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, well, the truth comes out.
So, with that, what are some of your personal hobbies that you guys have?
Well, for me, one of my hobbies has always been music.
Oh, wow.
I coming up in junior high school, I tried out for the basketball team, didn't make it. I tried out for uh, the wrestling team, didn't make it. I never seemed to be able to keep up with the jocks. But I did develop an affinity for music.
Mm.
And by the time I got to high school, graduated from high school, I was always with the guys, always with the musicians. We hung out together. We dabbled around, with playing together. And so I just picked up a thing for, uh, uh, playing music. Started off on the bass guitar, uh, went to the piano, went to the
Oh, wow.
organ. And so that was my pastime growing up in junior high school. I just lock up in my room and spend hours on my bass guitar.
Mm.
When my buddies would go hang out, hey, I'll be at home on the piano or on my guitar. So yeah, that's what I grew up doing.
And true story. I'm going to just add this in for him before I tell you my personal hobbies. We had an organist at our church, at our original church
Mm-hmm.
that we were in. And the organist, he was the pastor's son, and he backslid. And I don't think we missed a Sunday, did we? The next Sunday, he was on the organ playing the organ with no lessons, no nothing. Like nobody even knew. You had never even played at church or anything like that. Nobody knew he even had the ability to play. Went to church that
Mm.
next Sunday, and he became the musician, the organist, and been playing ever since.
Wow. That's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, and
So, what are some
so
of yours?
so for me, who me?
What?
Um, so I've always been athletic. So I played softball in high school. I played basketball in high school. And some of my personal hobbies include sports. Like most recently, I was introduced to pickleball. I haven't been able to like really play that, but man, that was so fun. I love it.
Is
And
pickleball that fun?
Yeah,
yeah, to me,
yeah.
yeah, it's like tennis kind of.
Just let me
Badminton.
add to that, just to show you how unathletic I am. We were on the pickleball court together, and this was recently,
Recently, right?
and she was running rings around me, and the trainer was like, she was giving her all the attention, and she was looking at me, and she was like, "You need a little more practice."
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So I do love sports. I like to play sports. I like to hike. I like to walk. I like to read too. I love reading. And hanging out with little kids too.
Yeah, she loved kids.
Yeah, I like hanging out with kids.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's man. They keep you young.
Yes, they do. So then my next question is, what have you learned now versus the beginning? Or if I could rephrase that is, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would you tell them? What advice would you give your younger self?
I would say that I would give myself life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. You're gonna be okay. Slow down, breathe, and be consistent and keep moving forward. And although there will be some bumps in the road, just keep your eyes on the goal and keep moving towards it. And you will eventually you'll get there.
Mhm.
And that way I wouldn't have taken so many detours, you know,
Mhm.
chasing after stuff that ended up
Mhm.
being nothing, so just stick with it, be consistent, and automatically know that you're not going to always be up here, but you're not going to always be down there either. So just keep it moving.
Mhm.
That's some good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well. As I mentioned earlier in this interview, when I was a lot younger, I was, wasn't very focused because I was so impatient. I would only stick to something just for a little bit, and if that didn't work right away, I was on to something else. And so I would say that the advice that I would give is to be patient and to stick with whatever it is, whatever your goal is, stick with that thing. And I guess it takes maturity to learn patience. Um, and the other thing that I would say that I've learned is to pay more attention to those who've been where you're trying to go. Uh, Open your ears, listen, pay attention. Pay attention to the advice that's there for you. Pay attention to the wisdom that cries in the streets. There's wisdom uh, for all of us if we would just pay attention. And one more thing, as far as the marriage is concerned, I think I would say that uh, I would listen more and even pay attention to my spouse more.
Hear it, people.
Because there's so many, even after 36 years, um, there's still a lot to learn about the person you're living with. And if you pay closer attention, listen a lot more. It causes the communication to be so much more between in the relationship, because the things that you think you know a lot of times has been miscommunicated, and the realities are not actually what you might think they are. So listen, pay close attention, make sure that communication is clear.
That's good. Well, those are the questions that I have tonight. And before we get ready to close out, what I'd like to say is that if you have any, you're giving a wealth of knowledge, it seems, to our viewers and everything. Is there any one last takeaway that you would like for other couples to realize in your 36 years of marriage that you say, I want you guys to know this? What is it you would like for them to really know and take away?
Well, I think the main thing is, without saying that Jesus is the center. Like without him, that's a wrap. So I would say make sure that Jesus is the center, in the center of your marriage.
Mm-hmm. Right. Someone said that if two people agree on every single thing, then one of you is unnecessary.
Wow.
In other words, no matter who you are, no matter how good your relationship is, you are going to have disagreements. And to what she said, if Jesus Christ is not your mediator, then your marriage is going to be in trouble. There has to be something that sets the boundaries. There has to be a rule of law that's going to hold your marriage together, and that rule of law is Jesus Christ. The principles of the Bible is the thing that's going to keep it together.
Okay. And with that, we're going to get ready to close out. We thank everybody for joining us. Take care, and y'all have an awesome, awesome time, an awesome day. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all as well.
Thank you.